My name is Jessie, and I'm going to talk a little bit about yoga props and postures that we'll be using in the Wheeling Jesuit University Pranayama Yoga study here at Happy Goat Yoga in Wheeling, West Virginia. These are yoga blocks. You'll need 2 of them. This is one version of yoga bolster. It's square. We also have a round bolster. It's a little bit longer and narrower than the square. And you'll have yoga blankets, and you'll need at least 3. This is a cervical pillow, so it goes behind your neck just for added comfort. Some people really appreciate the additional curve it gives the spine in the neck region. And for other people, it's too much. It's too much support. So you'll have to play with it yourself and just see what feels good to your body. And then additionally, you'll have an eye pillow and a Kleenex here. And I'll talk a little bit about how that goes. But basically, you wrap the Kleenex around your eye pillow so that you have a little barrier there between the pillow and your eyes. So the first posture we'll talk about is Shavasana, it's corpse pose. And it's basically a reclined posture with support. And many people like to have a little bit of cushion under their head in this pose. So what I do with these folded blankets is I'll unfold the blanket one time and I'll place it at the top of the mat. Okay? And then I'll also have the cervical pillow handy as well as the eye pillow in case I need them. And in Shavasana, it's often very helpful to have support under your knees. So you'll take either bolster, the square or round, whichever is your preference. So you might try both and see which one you like better, underneath your knees. And depending upon your pain in your back or your body or how you're feeling today, you may like to lay onto your side to make your way down to the floor, and then engage your abdominals as you lift one leg then the other to rest on your bolster. The blanket under your head goes underneath the back of your skull, but not underneath your shoulders. So your shoulders are grounding down into the floor. And once you're comfortable here, and you may need to push the bolster away a little bit or bring it closer towards your body. And what the bolster does is it lifts your knees and allows your low back to lengthen so that you can rest comfortably on the floor. Okay, once you're comfortable with the lower body, you may choose to try the cervical pillow and just see if that works for you. Now, we don't want the chin to jut up toward the sky here. Okay, so you can take your hands behind your head and just lengthen the back of your neck and then place it gently over the cervical pillow. That may be wonderful for your body, and it may not. So if it's not, you can place it to the side. Either way, whether you have the pillow or not, you can lengthen the back of your neck so that your chin is about level with your forehead here. And then for just a little added quiet, you can place the eye pillow over your eyes. And then from your shoulder socket, rotate your upper arms out. And you might even tuck your shoulders down behind your body a bit. And settle in here. Now you may decide also that the bolster under your legs just isn't very comfortable. So you can kick that out of the way at any time. and just allow your legs to lie flat on the floor. And then additionally, some people find that support under the knees is very important for their comfort. So you may choose to place both under the knees. And again, getting in the position might be a little challenging, so scooting your hips and lying to the side. If you ever need help in class, you can always just raise a hand and one of us will come and help you. So there are some variations that you can choose to use in Shavasana, corpse pose. Personally, this feels very nice on my low back. It helps me to be able to really relax my belly and relax my back muscles into the floor. But each body is different, and each day you may feel different. So some days you may like to have 2 pillows under the knees, and some days you may like nothing. So that was Shavasana, the corpse pose. The next pose will... For Balasana, child's pose, you will use 1 or 2 bolsters and the blankets. And again, personal preference dictates whether you like the square bolster or the round bolster. But you'll take the bolster to the top of the mat. You'll want to have your blankets handy. Come to hands and knees here. And you'll widen your knees toward the outside edges of the mat. And you'll bring your big toes to touch behind you. And from here, you'll take an inhale. And as you exhale, you'll sink your hips back toward your heels. Now, a lot of people will get to a point and they just kind of can't quite get much further without causing some pain in the knees or the hips, or just you just don't quite make it there. And that's where these blankets come in. So you can take a blanket from its original fold, open it, and then fold it on its length. And with a blanket folded on the length, place it right up in your hip creases. And you can kind of wrap it around your hips here. And then you'll start again, inhaling and then exhaling to lower down. And that gives some space to the fronts of the hips if you were feeling a little bit of tightness or constriction there as you make your way into the posture. Now, if you were feeling tightness in your knees, come back up. We'll open this twice so that it's on its longest fold, and then we'll fold it over a time or two. We'll take that behind the knees, pulling forward behind the knees as you lean the hips back. And here you can lower down into the pose with this variation. Now, if your knees are still hurting, you may just need 2 blankets there. So we're opening, folding, and just placing 2 blankets as close to the knee crease as possible as you sink back and find some support. Now, if you're having both knee and hip pain in this posture, which is common, you can support both. And additionally, if you're still just not comfortable here, you can find another bolster or a stack of additional blankets and make your way into the posture. Okay, so this posture should be very comfortable. It should be very supported. Occasionally, people will have some discomfort in their ankles, and in that case, you can take one of these long folded blankets and roll it up and place that roll underneath the ankles. And that can give some support to the ankles as well. So there are many variations, many ways to use your blankets, and it's important that you're comfortable in this position. So perhaps you'll get halfway through your pranayama practice, your breathing practice, and you'll start to get some discomfort. And it's okay to come out of the pose and readjust your blankets and rearrange your body so that you're comfortable. Okay, so the goal is not to hold a pose as long as you possibly can. It's to really listen to your body and make adjustments that will truly support your practice. So we have the option of the blanket in the hip crease, the blanket behind the knees, the blanket under the ankles, and additionally, you may want a pillow. So you can use a blanket as a pillow, and you can fold it however you like. You can face your gaze in one direction or the other. You could also create just enough space, just enough height here with the blanket so that you can be face down and your nose is still clearing the bolster and you can still breathe through your nose. Your palms can rest however you like. Some people like to hold their hands on the top of the bolster. Others like to have the elbows resting beneath the shoulders or ahead of the shoulders just a little ways. So the hands are something you can play with and just feel your way into a comfortable position. And again, you can make adjustments as you need to throughout the practice. So that's Balasana, the child's pose. And again, I'd like to emphasize, if you have discomfort at any time throughout the practice, it's okay to make adjustments for your body. And it's also okay to flag one of us down so that we can help you find a comfortable way to be in the posture. The last posture we'll talk about is Sukhasana, and it's easy seated posture. And I really like to encourage folks to try using blocks in this posture. So you'll need 2 blocks. And the way we'll place the blocks on the mat is in the shape of a triangle or an inverted V. Okay, so the front of the blocks is touching, the back is 2 or 3 inches apart. And we'll place this setup right straight down on the mat. You'll come around front and sit back onto the blocks so that your tailbone is essentially floating between that V. Right? So your tailbone isn't being pressed into a block, it's just kind of hovering there between the V. And you'll feel your sits bones, your ischial tuberosities at the very base of your pelvis, one on the right, one on the left, rooting into the blocks while the tailbone is free. And I find that a lot of people who have pelvic pain or tailbone pain really benefit from this way of sitting. So I like to encourage you to try this first and see if it works for you. If you don't like it, if it feels awkward, you might have to make the blocks a little more narrow or widen them apart, and just see how that feels on your body. An alternative is to just sit flat on one block this way. So I'm going to place the block in the middle and sit flat onto it and bend my knees. Now I've been practicing yoga a long time, and so my hip flexors are pretty open. I'm able to externally rotate my thighs here and my knees go to the floor. Many people, that's not the case, right? You'll sit here and you'll feel kind of like you're hovering in space. And what's important, if that's the case with your body, is to take a blanket or 2 or 3, fold it up, and give some support under your thighs. So nothing should be just floating in space here in your lower body. You should be grounded, supported. So creating a little bit of cushion, or a lot, for under the knees, so that the knees are at a level slightly higher than the hips, and so that your femur bones can kind of sink down into your hip sockets here. So this is an option with blankets. You can also use blocks. You can also use a bolster under each leg. So whatever works for you. Ideally, you're trying to be balanced here so that both knees are the same. So I would use two of the same bolster instead of two different bolsters. And then finally, you may notice as you're seated in Sukhasana that your core gets very tired. We don't sit in this unsupported way very much in our lives. So as you are getting used to sitting in Sukhasana, you can actually take your setup right up against the wall. So I'm taking that inverted V shape right up to the wall. I'm bringing my knee support along. I'm sitting on my blocks, and I'm sitting back far enough with my knees supported that I can lean against the wall, right? And so I'm not hunching my spine or rounding my spine against the wall. I'm lifting out of the pelvis, rolling the shoulders back and down, and then the wall is here if I need it for a rest. And then when I feel ready, I can come away from the wall and continue with my breathing practice. And if I need a rest, here's the wall again. It's a really nice way to start to progress your practice once you've built up some core strength to come away from the wall. So thank you so much for watching, and again, if you have any questions, just bring them up in class. We will have time before each class to clear up any issues, and also anytime throughout the practice, if you become uncomfortable, just wave a hand and we'll come over and give you some assistance. Happy practicing!